You know, after death, when a person dies, we will be whatever the depth of our love was when we left this earth, when we died on the earth. That's the ruling factor. How much you've learned to love like the Lord. It's not what you have done for the Lord that counts. It's what you have become that counts. He said, well, we've done all this in your name. We cast out demons. And Jesus said, I didn't even know you. You weren't close to me. Hello? We healed the sick. But he said, you know, you really didn't know me. These were just gifts. What counts finally in eternity is who you have become. How much you become like the Lord Jesus. It will be the degree that our inner life and heart has become like heaven that will determine our place and roles in heaven, but not only that, in the ages to come. What happens here will determine our role 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 years from now. What our role is determined by us when we're on this planet. You understand that? You don't get a second shot at this. You know, I've been privileged by the Lord. I don't know why, but I've been privileged by the Lord to visit heaven many, many times. And I was shown some things. I was shown, you know, the house that we live in heaven, the place we live in heaven, is designed in such a way that it is a reflection of what we became while we are on earth. I was taken to heaven. My daughter died many years ago in a car accident. I was taken to heaven and shown her house. I took one look at that house and I saw my daughter. It's just like her. The architecture, everything reflected the kind of nature and person she had and was. Isn't that incredible? I thought, wow, that's just like her. It's important to understand these things. Because, see, we're going to get through this battle, but the bigger picture is the ongoing scenario and how we qualified for that. The architectural design and the adornments and how the house looked and how it was decorated inside was just like what my daughter was doing. Just like her. And I thought, wow. Wow. You know, my wife's dad he was a rough man and, you know, hard man to live with. But he got saved at the end of his life. Right, you know, by the skin of his teeth he got in. just made it. You know, when I was going out, he was living out in a remote area. And when on heaven, on earth, and when I went out to ask him, I wanted to marry his daughter, he came out with a shotgun. I thought, oops. The kind of person he was. I was in heaven one day, and I said to this angel, where is he living? And the angel stopped for a moment. He said, come, I'll show you. Well, we went for miles. Seriously. He didn't like people, you know. Didn't like people. And he always used to live out and away from people, out of the city, in the, you know, remote areas. And, you know, paradise, which is the lowest level of heaven, is a big place. Anyway, when we finally got to this, there's this little house, you know. It was nice, really nice. It wasn't too big, but it was nice. And I said, well, where's the other people? He said, well, there are a few around here, but that's where he wanted to be. That was where he was like. He gives you the desires of your heart, you know. But it was the lowest level, you know, and the furthest reaches. The Bible tells us heaven is being enlarged, but so is hell. Hell is being enlarged all the time. So, heaven's a very neat place, I tell you. It's like, you know, when a person arrives in heaven, they're given a white coat, you know, like nice robe, white. But what I noticed is that there were different shades of brightness according to the people coming in. Some were quite bright, some weren't so bright. And I knew that reflected the person, their condition when they died. They got in, but some of it was on quite a lower level. And I was amazed, you know, to see this. And this will interest the ladies too, you know. The clothes we wear in heaven are a part of the same principle. You know, people come into heaven and they were clothed in this. But who they were, sometimes they would then receive sashes, colored sashes, and they weren't always in this white robe. They could have other stuff put on top, and their clothing was different. Some of them had diamonds, some of them had all kinds of precious stones, different colors. It was amazing. But it all came back to what kind of person, how much they had learned to love, what their nature and character was when they died. That determined how they were dressed. So you could look at a person in heaven and know just something of their background. So I thought, well, you know, this is very, very interesting. Their degrees, you see, in heaven. Some were given gold and blue-colored sashes, and they all meant something. Others were crowns, precious stones. They all had meaning, these things. What degree, it's all determined by what degree they had become like the Lord when they died.